All right. As chair of the SAU 21 Joint School Board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the SAU 21 Joint School Board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone number: 646-876-9923 and webinar ID 839-7467-5931, or by clicking the website which is listed on the agenda. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the website of the SAU 21 office at www.sau21.org. If anybody has a problem, please call 603-926-8992, extension 103, or email at revans@sau21.org. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law.
Anthony Lang.
Present, family in and out.
Greg Parrish.
Present, family in and out.
Jason Farias.
Here, family in and out.
Jill Swayze.
Present and alone.
John Bailey.
Present, family in and out.
Cindy Burke. Cindy, you're muted.
Present, family in and out.
Greg Duffy. Martin Tavishian.
Present and alone.
Nermina Peterson.
Present with family.
Tom Von Jess.
Present, alone.
Forrest Carter. Jennifer Hubbard.
Present with family.
Jessica Brown. Kelly Huber.
Present with family.
Mike Rabideau.
Present and one other person.
Jim Kine.
Present and alone.
Rebecca Burdick.
Present, family in and out.
Sharon Gordon.
Present with kids.
Heidi Terracina.
Present with family in and out.
Henry Marsh.
Present, family in and out.
Leslie LaFond.
Present alone.
And Tony Delano.
Present, family in and out.
I have the roll call taken.
Thank you, Rhonda. So we have a few items on the agenda today. The first is the public hearing on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2021-22. Matt, would you be the one taking us through this, or?
Yes, thank you, Jim. So this public hearing was properly posted to notice our member towns of the proposed SAU budget. And the hearing, it really provides the opportunity for community members to comment on the proposed SAU operating budget that was presented in detail at the last school board meeting, at the last joint school board meeting. So this budget reflects the SAU's vision to really provide a more tightly coupled collaborative organization that we hope benefits, and we strive to benefit all of our member school districts by creating efficiencies that better improve our services to students, as well as maximizing on our cost effectiveness. So I'll just take a quick moment to briefly summarize the budget that was presented. The proposed fiscal year 2022 budget is $2,134,289. This reflects an increase of 1.2%, which is a modest $25,081 increase from prior fiscal year 2021. So this budget is apportioned to each individual school district's respective budget, which is then presented or brought to the community for vote, which is based on, and it's a portion based on enrollments and property valuation. The allocation for this proposed budget is $150,493 to Hampton Falls, $283,796 to Northampton, $630,159 to Seabrook, $61,519 to Southampton, and $885,590 to Winnicott. There are two primary budget drivers that have resulted in that $25,000 increase. The first of which is the New Hampshire retirement system contribution, or employer contribution, was increased this year by just about 3%. This is for all municipal employees. So not only schools, but our fire departments, our police departments, all town employees. This is a pretty significant increase that's really due to an unfunded pension obligation that the state has, it's really decades in the making. Additionally, so that increase resulted in $41,187 increase to our budget, which that alone is more than our overall increase. Additionally, we did have a $20,130 increase in health insurance. This is a result of our health insurance premium increases, as well as some staffing turnover, which resulted in some plan election changes. So otherwise, the proposed budget actually reflects a reduction of $36,236, or a decrease of 1.7%. This budget really reflects no new investments or initiatives, as we took serious consideration of our current economic climate and conditions, and the potential for our towns having a decline in tax revenue. So the biggest impact is that we're deferring our SAU-wide strategic planning investment to the next budget year. So once this public hearing is closed and the normal joint board meeting resumes, there is an agenda item for the budget, and at that point, the administration is recommending that the joint board approve the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget in the amount of $2,134,289.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Does anybody have any question? I know we already went over this as a joint board, but does anybody have any follow-up questions for Matt? Great. I think the next item on the agenda is questions and comments from those in attendance. Rhonda, what's the best way for us to do this?
Jim, while this is under the public hearing, I would just, because it is the public hearing, I would allow anybody in the public, if they want to speak, you need to do the raise your hand feature in Zoom. And when you raise your hand, that promotes you to the top of the list. We do have quite a few people on here. And then I know that you want to provide a comment, and then we will set it up so that you have permission to speak through the Zoom app.
This is on the budget, correct, Rhonda?
Yes, this is the budget. So I am not seeing anybody wanting to speak on the budget. So we would just need to close the public hearing and then resume the regular meeting, and then you go to public comment for the regular agenda.
Okay. So it seems like it's time to close the public hearing, right? And Henry, you got a question?
I'm just making a motion to close the public hearing.
Can I get a second?
I'll second. Thanks.
Anthony Lang,
Yes.
Greg Parrish,
Yes.
Jason Farias,
Yes.
Jill Swayze,
Yes.
John Bailey,
Yes.
Cindy Burke,
Yes.
Martin Tavishian,
Yes.
Nermina Peterson,
Yes.
Tom Bonjess,
Yes.
Jennifer Hubbard,
Yes.
Kelly Huber,
Yes.
Mike Rabideau,
Yes.
Jim Keim,
Yes.
Rebecca Burdick,
Yes.
Sharon Gordon,
Yes.
Heidi Terracina,
Yes.
Henry Marsh,
Yes.
Leslie LaFawn,
Yes.
and Tony Delano.
Yes.
I have that vote recorded.
Great. Thank you, Rhonda. So next, is it best to go to public and comment questions from those in attendance for non-budget related issues? I would see it's the same process where you, for those in attendance, to raise your hand. If anybody has a question or comment.
I'm not seeing any.
Okay. Next is approval of the minutes for October 20th, 2020. Does anybody have any comments on those?
I don't believe that I was at that meeting, correct, Rhonda?
You were absent, Kelly.
Thank you.
I was absent as well, right, Rhonda?
Yep, I have, so the just for, it's listed in there, but Jason, Greg, Jessica, Forrest, Kelly, and Rebecca were all
Thank
absent.
you.
Are there any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the SAU Joint Board meeting minutes for Tuesday, October 20th, 2020.
A second.
Anthony Lang,
Yes.
Greg Parrish,
Yes.
Jason Farias,
Abstain.
Jill Swayze,
Yes.
John Bailey,
Yes.
Cindy Burke,
Abstain.
Martin Tavishian,
Yes.
Nermina Peterson,
Yes.
Tom Bonjess, Jennifer Hubbard,
Yes.
Kelly Huber,
Abstain.
Mike Rabideau,
Yes.
Henry Marsh,
Yes.
Leslie LaFawn,
Yes.
Tony Delano,
Yes.
Heidi Terracina,
Yes.
Sharon Gordon,
Yes.
Rebecca Burdick,
Abstain.
and Jim Keim.
Yes,
I have that vote recorded.
thank you, Rhonda. Next is for action items is the SAU 21 budget proposal, which we just talked about in the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to approve the SAU 21 budget proposal of $2,134,289 for FY 2021-22 as presented.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Great.
Tony Delano,
Yes.
Leslie LaFawn,
Yes.
Henry Marsh,
Yes.
Heidi Terracina,
Yes.
Sharon Gordon,
Yes.
Rebecca Burdick,
Yes.
Jim Keim,
Yes,
Mike Rabideau,
Yes.
Kelly Huber,
Yes.
Jennifer Hubbard,
Yes.
Tom Bonjess,
Yes.
Nermina Peterson,
Yes.
Martin Tavishian,
Yes.
Cindy Burke,
Yes.
John Bailey,
Yes.
Jill Swayze,
Yes.
Jason Farias,
Yes.
Greg Parrish,
Yes.
and Anthony Lang.
Yes.
I have that vote recorded.
Thank you. Next, I believe it's time for us to go into a non-public session to discuss personnel matters.
I'll make the motion to go into non-public under RSA 91-A:3, 2A-E.
I'll second.
And I'm
And real quick, Dave, did you set up a non-public separate, please?
Okay.
We've got
would you like
quite a
me
few
to?
attendees.
Yeah, I'll send one out right now. Hang on.
Okay, sorry about that. Are you ready for the vote?
Rhonda, one quick question, if I may.
Uh-huh.
When Dave sends it out, is he sending it out to our email, or where's the link going, the new link?
Yeah, folks, I will send it out to your email address. It'll show up as a calendar event.
Thank you.
And Rhonda, there looks like there's 2 attendees with their hands up.
Right, do you want to move back up to public comment? That's up to you. Do we want to?
I'm okay doing that for now. Yeah, just
Okay.
let's do it ahead of the public.
Okay, so we will hold on this vote. We'll go back up to public comment. So when I give you permission to speak, we just need you to state your name, your address, and your affiliation with the schools. Looks like the first person is Kelly Parrott. Ms. Parrott?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Kelly Parrott. I live at 2 Garrett Drive, Northampton, New Hampshire. I have a student at Winnicott High School. I appreciate you taking public comment now since you're going into private session. And while I know this is a budget meeting, I think the most important topic at hand is to discuss when the students, especially those at Winnicott High School, are going to return to school. How much of your budget has allocated for return to school procedures? We still have not seen an updated plan from the last time that we spoke with you all. And this is the top priority that you all should be dealing with. You have over 1,200 students who are not attending school that need to be seen in person and not just on Zoom calls. I don't know if you'd like to respond, but I would appreciate having this be the most important issue that you discuss.
Thank you for the comments, Kelly. As you know, this is a joint board meeting. So I think discussing the Winnicott side is something that probably is done best in the Winnicott school board meeting, but I think we all agree that the return to school plans is critical and of significant importance for all those students who are not in school. And it definitely is good to hear from the public. And I've heard from a number of people just about that. And we do appreciate that. And I can assure you, at least from my perspective, that is is probably the highest priority item as we move forward. And just so the public knows, we will be discussing a framework moving forward. There's been some public details, but just about how, from an administration perspective, when we come out in non-public, we will be discussing some framework items moving forward, just so everybody knows. But this meeting will be more of the joint board side, and school specifics will be probably done in their respective school board meetings.
I do have one more person with their hand up. The name is Trish Wheeler. Ms. Wheeler, if you could please state your name and address and your affiliation with the school.
Hi, this is Trisha Wheeler, 2 Downer Drive, Hampton, New Hampshire. Thank you so much for taking public comment. I thought that was related to the budget for 21-22 school year or the next school year. So a couple of questions. I reiterate what Ms. Parrott said as well. I think the frustration lies with we're not getting anywhere with the Winnicott School Board. There's a lack of communication other than thank you very much for the comment. So I think we're looking to you as leadership amongst the SAU 21 that we need more force and urgency because we're not getting it with the Winnicott School Board. Nobody is responding to us other than a nice, and thank you very much, and we'll be dealing with you on November 18th. We did a petition where parents that are trying to advocate for our children that are suffering out here, and we did everything we could by that petition with 1,500 people to sign in less than 2 days. That includes kids that are part of the school and parents of SAU 21, and we're getting nowhere, to the point where we presented it nicely, and we're very, very respectful because we appreciate all the teachers and all the hard work and how difficult this is. But we also know that 75% of the school wants to go back. Nobody is responding to us. 75% of the state has gone back. Actually, I'm sorry, 85% of the state has gone back to some sort of hybrid form. We're not. We're frustrated. We're being shut down, and we don't know the avenues to go to get anything accomplished here. I mean, for 1,500 people to speak their voice and us to be told, thank you very much. That was the whole point of the petition, is to move up with a sense of urgency. And there was no response other than we'll talk to you on the 18th. So that's number one. Number two, one of the things that came out is a COVID Relief Act. Now, we have not seen a budget for any relief from coronavirus within the SAU 21. There are other schools within the district that are going back hybrid and have initiated funding for this. We have not seen any budget allocated for WHS. The only thing I heard in the Winnicott School Board was some food from Gopher for $200 a student. And to me, we have a lot of food going around. We have a lot of support going to students. We have support even feeding the teachers while they're in the schools. We're doing a lot with the food, but I feel as though potentially the $200 per student could go more wisely towards getting them back into the school. So that's number two. Number three, I'm very concerned with Mr. Lupini resigning, and where we're in a state of emergency with Winnicott High School. I'm looking at the whole district. The majority of the district is back. We are not back in any way, shape, or form. I think we need leadership within Winnicott High School in an interim support role that has been part of all of these communications, that is going to be in it for the long term, not through December 31st. And those are my three things. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As I said, we're going to discuss the framework a little bit later in the meeting. I think they'll address the last portion of regarding a potential for an interim superintendent.
Looks like there's one more hand up. Janessa Carrillo, I believe is the name, how you say it. Ms. Carrillo, just please, again, state your name for the record, your address, and your affiliation with the school.
Hi, my name is Janessa Carrillo. I live at 60 Adams Ave, Seabrook, New Hampshire, and I have an 8th grade student in Seabrook Middle School. And I just wanted to third Kelly's statement and Miss Wheeler's statement. I'm from Seabrook, and I know that I've heard like a lot of other parents from Hampton and Northampton speak, and I just feel like there needs to be more voices from every town. So I just wanted to back what they said.
Thank you.
And that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Looks like there's one more. It's P. Chase. Whoever P. Chase is, if you could please state your name, address, and your affiliation with the school.
Hi, my name's Pam Chase. I live in Hampton and I have a senior at Winnicott High School. Again, I agree with everything that's already been stated, but I have a question, and I guess it would be to you, Matthew. When are we going to see the transparency on the SAU budget and where the CARES money is going towards? I know that this is a tricky year. And we as the Winnicott community are concerned what money is being appropriated to overcome the obstacles that you have in regards to insufficient staff. And I feel that it's our right as taxpayers in this community to see what kind of CARES Act funding has come in and where it's been appropriated.
So we received approximately, I want to say $170,000 at Winnicott in CARES funds. And there's an additional, I think referenced earlier, $200 in Gopher funds that the state recently announced, $200 per student. That is not being utilized for any food service. That will be determined how to best utilize it. So all told, it's fairly inconsequential funding from the state and federal, or the federal government, really. So I mean, our intent was not to utilize it for staffing. I mean, I guess if you put it in staffing terms, that would be maybe 4 teachers. But we can. I'll have to take a look at exactly how we allocated the first round of $170,000. But I'd be happy to provide that detail. I can. So please feel free to email me or give me a call. My email is mferreira, MFERREIRA at SAU21.org, or 603-926-8992. I will be happy to provide that detail. I don't have that off the top of my head, how that first funding was allocated, though.
But Matt, just one thing I want to add to that is, just in the interest of transparency, all of those funds that came through CARES ESSER were discussed with the joint board and I believe individual boards, but at the very least with the joint board back in May and June. All of that funding was discussed, in fact, a number of times with the boards.
Okay. Rhonda, it looks like we have one more hand raised. Miss Wheeler.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like she had previously spoken. Ms. Wheeler, can you again identify
Sorry,
yourself?
I have to have a clarifying comment on that. So you mentioned that you had talked about the funds and the appropriation of the funds. I think part of it is a lot of school districts nationally as well as locally are revisiting matrix, are revisiting budgeting. I mean, clearly, like we talked about it back then, but like what's current now? I know that in Massachusetts, their matrix is not the same as it was in August. Our matrix is irrelevant at this point as far as that goes. Same with budgeting and funding, just making sure that it's allocating to the right area. You know, I guess that would be my comment related to the care funding. You know, $200 might not be a lot of money, as what you're saying, but does it cover tutors for multiple days? Not tutors, I'm sorry. You know, substitute teachers for a certain number of days, that kind of thing. I'm just thinking out of the box a little bit and maybe revisiting that matrix and revisiting where the budget allocation goes versus just relying on where it was, 6 months ago. Thank you.
So Matt, can I just try to clarify here, because we're mixing and matching two different sources of funding. So we're talking about $200 and we're talking about CARES ESSER funds, and those are actually two different things. So there was funding that came from the federal government as part of the Relief Act back in the spring. We were expected to allocate those funds. State and federal government expected that we would allocate those dollars, and we did. Now, then we were promised money through FEMA, which in late August, I believe, was canceled. Those were to be monies around supplies that we might need for COVID-specific issues. The governor then took some additional, I believe they're CARES dollars, and has driven those out to public school districts at $200 per student to every district. Now, there's also some competitive money on top of that, which I know Matt's talked with principals and others about. But there's an entitlement fund of $200 per kid. That program has just started. That program, actually, they're still doing the setup of how to access the dollars. That's gone not very far to date. And so none of those dollars have been allocated at all. And none of those dollars are immediately available to us. They will be very, very soon, but they're not available to us at this moment. So I just want to make sure we don't confuse the original CARES ESSER dollars with these dollars that are now available to $200 per student. They are two different programs.
Thank you, Bill. All right, that looks like everybody, that was all the public comment. Rhonda, I think it's gonna be a good time to return to the non-public vote. I think we do have a motion on the table there.
Okay, let me go back to that and see if that's saved. When we switched, because there was no motion, we may have to do that again.
Okay. And just so everybody who is an attendee knows, we will go into non-public and then we will come out and discuss the next steps moving forward.
Okay, yeah, it did not save, Jim. So if you guys want to do that again.
Can I get a motion? Mike, you want to do it again?
Yeah, I'll make that motion if you would. To go to non-public under RSA 91-A:3, 2A through E.
I'll second that.
Okay, great.
Anthony Lang,
Yes.
Greg Parrish,
Yes.
Jason Farias,
Yes.
Jill
Yes.
Swayze,
Yep.
John Bailey,
Yes.
Cindy Burke,
Yes.
Martin Tavishian,
Yes.
Nermina Peterson,
Yes.
Tom Von Jess,
Yes.
Jennifer Hubbard,
Yes.
Kelly Huber,
Yes.
Mike Rabideau,
Yes?
Jim Keim,
Yes.
Rebecca Burdick,
Yes.
Sharon Gordon,
Yes.
Heidi Terracina,
Yes.
Henry Marsh,
Yes.
Leslie LaFond,
Yes.
and Tony Delano.
Yes.
I have that vote recorded. Motion to enter non-public at 6:34 p.m.
Okay,
Yeah, you
great,
guys,
thank you.
you should all have emails in your inbox. I'll start that meeting now.
All right.
Going to stop the recording. Hey, everybody. You guys are all getting really good at this. Hopping in and out.
Anything the pandemic's taught us is how to adapt a bit, right?
True.
I think our kids even more so.
Are we missing anybody? Was there anybody that had to leave?
We had, I believe, everybody on that.
Tony back on?
Yes.
I'm here, yes.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Can anybody think of anybody that's missing?
I don't see Henry.
Where's Henry?
Oh, I see. Here's Cindy Burke coming.
Henry's listed as a participant.
Okay. Oh, I see. Oh, I see him now. Ooh. Well, I saw him, and now it looks like he's gone. Is that the only person I'm looking for? Oh, there's he. He's back. Henry, don't move. I think I got him.
I don't see Sharon.
Tell you what, I might do a quick roll call again just to see if we're missing anybody.
Rhonda, can we do that as part of the vote to come out?
Oh, good point. Yes.
All right, so can I get a motion to close the non-public session and resume the public meeting?
I'll make a motion to close the non-public session and resume our public hearing or our regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, great.
Okay, I'm going to do a roll call. Tony Delano,
Yes.
Leslie LaFond. Is Leslie
Yes.
here? Okay. Henry Marsh,
Yes.
Yes.
Heidi Terracina,
Yes.
Sharon Gordon,
Yes.
Rebecca Burdick,
Yes.
Jim Keim,
Yes.
Mike Rabideau,
Yes.
Kelly Huber,
Yes.
Jennifer Hubbard,
Yes.
Tom Von Jess,
Yes.
Nermina Peterson,
Yes.
Martin Tavishian,
Yes.
Cindy Burke,
Yes.
John Bailey,
Yes.
Jill Swayze,
Yes.
Jason Farias,
Yes.
Greg Parrish,
Yes.
and Anthony Lang.
Yes.
Okay, the meeting has resumed at 7:12 p.m.
Thank you, Rhonda. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's resignation. Is there a motion to accept?
Will
the
Bill
resignation?
be rejoining us?
I do not believe he's going to. I
Okay,
said it was his option, but I do not think
Okay.
he's going.
thank you.
Is there a motion to accept the superintendent's resignation?
I'll make a motion to accept the superintendent's resignation dated November 6, 2020, effective the end of December 31st.
I'll second it.
That was Jen. Jen Hubbard, did she second that?
No, I think it was Leslie.
Leslie, okay. Anthony Lang,
Yes.
Greg Parrish,
Yeah.
Jason Farias,
Yes.
Jill Swayze,
Yes.
John Bailey,
Yes.
Cindy Burke,
Yes, with regret.
okay. Martin Tavishian,
Yes.
Nermina Peterson,
Yes.
Tom Bonjess,
Yes, with regrets, deepest regrets.
Jennifer Hubbard,
Yes.
Kelly Huber,
Yes.
Mike Rabideau,
Yes, with regrets.
Jim Keim,
Yes, with regret.
Rebecca Burdick,
Yes, with regrets.
Sharon Gordon,
Yes, with regret.
Heidi Terracina,
Yes.
Henry Marsh,
Yes.
Leslie LaFond,
Yes.
and Tony Delano.
Yes.
I have that vote recorded.
Thank you, Rhonda. So next on the agenda item is going to be the framework moving forward to replace the superintendent, just for everyone that's watching and in attendance. Dr. Lupini will be on in a transitionary as superintendent until the end of December. During that time period, we're going to formulate a search committee, which is going to, the first item is to identify an interim superintendent. That's going to be comprised of individuals from all of the various school districts. What I'm going to ask is actually, just because I haven't been through this in a superintendent search before, Rhonda, normally would we have the volunteers for that committee reach out to you? Like who would they reach out to for this situation?
Usually there's a letter put out, asking, I think, I'd have to actually go back and look, Jim.
Okay.
I know I have documentation on that from the past, but I would really, before I would want to say something in public, I would rather make sure I knew what I was talking about. I know I have documentation on
Great.
that.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is that letter or whatever communication will be going out to all members of the various school boards. And we'll probably look at other interested parties, I would imagine, just consistent with historical practices to put together the committee. I would anticipate that will go out this week. And the way I look at it is an interim. The goal is to identify an interim as quickly as possible, and then that committee would ultimately continue on with a search process to identify a permanent superintendent, which could be put into place by the beginning of the next school year, if not sooner. So that's the initial framework. I do want to open it up to the various school members here just to kind of give their thoughts. Henry, I see that you have your hand up.
Just real quick. Could we also advertise this position?
Yes. Yeah, I would. Yes,
put it out within the next day or so that the position is open. We've accepted the letter of resignation. And so it's out there that the position is open. And again, that's all.
Yes, Henry, that is that. Thank you for pointing that out. That is the intent, is to put out a public notice to identify a interim superintendent, and then I would imagine down the road we'll need to do something also for a more permanent solution. Matt, one of the requests that we have is if you could take a look at it from a budgetary perspective, what any additional costs would be regarding a search and hiring a consultant to assist with the permanent search and potentially interim side. So if you could do that, it'd be very helpful.
Hey, Jim, Jim and Matt, can I interrupt you for a minute? It's Greg. Jim, part of this framework for the permanent superintendent will more than likely be defined by the consultant. We will set parameters, or at least this is what we did in the last one search, is we set parameters that what we were looking for in a consultant. And then that consultant brought framework to the table to help us find Dr. Lupini as our superintendent at the time.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah, I would imagine that would make sense regarding the permanent. I would imagine an interim would probably be a little tougher to do that. I think we're really looking for somebody to come in and be able to assume that role.
Right.
Leslie, did you have a comment?
I would really hope that we could discuss it before we go out and hire.
Can't hear you, Leslie.
Yeah, Leslie, you cut out. Leslie, I'm sorry, Leslie, you cut out.
Always.
I want to say that it was right at the beginning.
I said I would just caution us to think and look into it before we hire a consultant. I'm not sure the money was well spent last time, to be perfectly honest with you. What was brought to us, and for the amount of money, I think it's also something that doesn't, I don't know. I just think we need to really look into it before we say we're going to get a consultant.
That's fair. And I would say from a order of priority, clearly identifying the interim as priority number one. Just for those in attendance, I think one of the items that we want to kind of look for is how to, as part of identifying an interim superintendent, is really taking a look at all of the schools within the SAU. I'd probably say in particular the ones that have been unable to return to in person, and see if there are plans in place that and creative ways to look at that, to see if there are options to return kids to school. Just from my experience in Southampton, I think the social aspect of it, of just seeing other kids, is tremendously important to students, and that definitely has to be taken into consideration in addition to their education. So I think as part of the interim, that's something that we're going to that I would expect to be focused on. Anybody else have any questions or comments on framework? Tom?
So this may be a parallel process, but Jim, I would like to recommend that the operations committee work with you while Dr. Lupini is still here and the SAU administration to learn more about what we may be able to do to change the framework of the superintendent position, just to get some ideas. We don't have to make any decisions. But while Dr. Lupini is here, because he has firsthand knowledge, a couple years in the role, as does the current administration, understand kind of what some of the challenges are with our unique structure, so that we can, when we do go to find the permanent, I'm not talking about the interim, when we do go to find the permanent, that we're able to make any adjustments that might help us in the long run.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you, Tom. Kelly?
Is there possibly a way to obviously when interviewing somebody to find out maybe if they have experience with negotiating with unions, strong knowledge of unions? Because I think
You were kind of breaking up, at least for me, on that.
I couldn't hear her.
Well, it sounded like experience in negotiation with unions was going to be a desirable characteristic.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially with the situation we're in right now.
Yep. Thank you, Kelly. I think clearly, yes, that would be something that we would, that I would expect the search committee to be taking into consideration when looking at potential candidates. Does anybody else have any comments?
Hey, Jim, I just have a question. It just, obviously the timing's never right for for this to occur. I'm just concerned about this transition. We're in difficult times, as everyone knows, with the numbers being what they are for the virus, and in the process of finding the interim, bringing that group together. There's a sensitive time. Time is passing then, and I want to emphasize that the leadership develop a plan of what actually happens on this day when leadership passes and we still don't have an interim superintendent. Where does the roles and responsibilities for the individual districts lie when they have to make some important decisions, and at least give some thoughts on how that's going to occur. Hopefully it's a short amount of time, but we should think about that plan and how that when that happens in the next couple of months or so, how that give some thought to who owns what and moving forward.
Thank you, Jason. I think that is, ideally we will identify somebody and they'll be able to be in place at the time that Dr. Lupini's when he's finished. In practice, I think you're highlighting a very good point. It's, things don't always go perfectly, and having those contingency plans in place is certainly something that we will address. Is there anybody else who has any questions? All right, well, thank you all for this. It's clearly going to be a lot of work going forward on top of a very difficult time period. So I would encourage you, if you have the time to volunteer in the search committee. It's clearly going to be something that's very important, and we'll get that out as quickly as possible and get this process moving forward. That brings us to pretty much an end. Just for everybody's future meetings, SAU 21 Operations Committee meeting is Tuesday, January 5th at 5:30. The Joint Board Policy Committee meeting is Wednesday, January 13th at 4:30. And the Joint Board Public meeting is currently scheduled for Tuesday, January 26th at 6 o'clock. Although I'd probably expect us to be meeting on the superintendent search or the interim superintendent search much quicker than that. That will be scheduled sometime in the future. And that brings us to an end of the agenda. Does anybody have any comments before we adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Any a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all that attended as well.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.